Hey, welcome to Growing. We hope you're doing well today. Very interesting. A couple days ago, I was doing my devotions, and I love reading about King David and the struggles that he had, the prospering times. One of the coolest passages is talking about him running around the mountain and when he is being chased. And so I went to 2 Samuel chapter 15, and I was just reading some things about some of the problems in his life. In 2 Samuel chapter 15, David is king, but here's the process, is his son Absalom had actually began to meet people before they got to David and answering questions and buttering them up, and people started seeing him as king. And the only reason is because Absalom never allowed them to get to David. So Absalom gained the favor of a lot of people. And so then all of a sudden, Absalom's coming in with his whole group of people to overthrow the king. And so King David knows, and he's told by his commanders, look, we need to get out of here. And so he begins going house to house. Look, Absalom's going to kill you if you say that you're in favor of me, and you're going to lose your life. So either you leave with us now, or you stay and face that wrath. So many people began to leave. And in the middle of this story, it's like 3 or 4 verses. There's only 7 verses that this man's name is even mentioned. David is walking down the street, and the Bible says the young and the old, they were weeping and they were crying because of what was taking place. And they were having to leave their house and their livelihoods because Absalom was getting ready to come in. And this man named Ittai, he was walking beside David. And David looks up and he said, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And Ittai says this, "As the Lord lives, and as my Lord the King lives, surely in whatever place my Lord the King shall be, whether in death or in life, there also your servant will be." When I read this, I was just stopped in my tracks. It only mentions this man in these short verses, and then David says, "But you've only been here just for a few days." You see, Ittai was the leader of 600 men from Gath. And not only was it Ittai, but he had led 600 of his men, and then they had children and they had wives. And he said, "We are following after our king," not King Absalom, but King David. I thought about this in the short time that he was following after him, and the loyalty that this man was showing. He said, "No matter what, I'm going to follow after you, the true king." And I thought about the demonstration of loyalty that this shows, and how it also demonstrates how we should serve Jesus Christ. You know, Ittai showed loyalty towards David even when David was down. You know, even in our weakest moments, in our tired moments, that we're not doing this on our own, but we should still follow after Jesus Christ no matter what our feelings are. Because remember, as I've said before, feelings do not make reality. Ittai also showed loyalty when he was very decisive about his plan. We should follow Jesus Christ with our whole heart, just as Ittai did following David. Not only this, Ittai did this voluntarily. You know, we can talk about what's proper in raising our kids and trying to force people to come to church or force people to serve the Lord. But honestly, eventually, that's not going to work. And if you're forcing your kids to go to church, and even though we should have our kids in church and we shouldn't give them the decision necessarily, but I'm talking about once they reach that age, as you're forcing them, you have to do this. You have to live this way. Maybe they're not even believers. Maybe that's why they're pushing back. But Ittai followed David voluntarily. We shouldn't wait for someone to make us loyal. We should be voluntarily being loyal to Jesus Christ, because this is what we do. We are his children. Not only this, you often think about people that follow after the Lord that should only follow him, that's been there year after year after year after year. But here's Ittai only being in the camp for just a few days, And this surprised David. Why are you following after me? Why don't you follow after the new king? And he says, no, you are my king. So no matter how long you've been following after Jesus Christ, if it's a day or if it's 40 years, we should do it with our whole heart. Not only this, Ittai was public about it. David's in the front walking. He asked him this question, and I imagine these men stopped, and it stopped the crowd. And publicly, he said, I am following after you. Period. You know, we shouldn't be secret followers of Jesus Christ. We should be public. We don't have to stand on a street corner and scream and holler and yell and give Christ a bad name, but we need to be public about our testimony. And last, he knew the fate that he could have following after David. He said, in life or in death. He knew that Absalom was going to try to follow after David. He knew that there was going to be issues. He knew that there was possibility of a battle. He knew that he could lose his life. When following after Jesus Christ, do you know that there is a chance, especially in this day and age, that you can lose your life? We need to be the Ittais. We need to follow after Jesus Christ just like he followed after David and served him faithfully. I pray you find this story encouraging as it's just cut out in the middle of a very, very desperate and depressed time in David's life. What an encouragement this loyalty was, Ittai to David. God bless.